Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, powered by Braden. This is your front row seat to the stories of local leaders, both nonprofit and for-profit, who are shaping our community. Every episode brings you leadership insights, lessons from challenges, and practical strategies you can use today. And yes, we'll keep it real and have some fun along the way. If you're ready to elevate your leadership, hit subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn for updates on behind-the-scenes content. Now, let's dive in.
Hey everybody, Jason Holm here with another episode of the Elevate Powered by Braden podcast. Something different you might see is, well, we're not in the studio in Fishers anymore. We're in a little different place. I'm with a new friend, Jeff. Jeff, where are we?
Oh, well, we're definitely, it's like the Wizard of Oz. We're not in Kansas anymore, that's for sure. So welcome to the stage of the Payne Mencias Palladium here at the Allied Solutions Center for the Performing Arts in Carmel, Indiana.
Beautiful Carmel, Indiana, beautiful stage. It's the first time I've been on stage. It was the first time we've done a show outside of our studio. But Jeff, welcome to the show. And obviously I know we're going to talk about this place and what you guys do here. But before we get to that part of your story, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Where are you from originally?
Actually, originally from Cleveland, Ohio. Grew up there till I was about 10 or 11 years old. My dad got transferred around a little bit, spent a little time in Syracuse, New York, and then really kind of consider Fort Wayne my hometown. Grew up there from junior high on.
Gotcha. So junior high through high school in Fort Wayne. So which high school were you at?
Homestead High School.
The Spartans.
Homestead Spartans.
That's right. So I happen to be a Baron from DeKalb.
Well, you don't have to apologize for that.
That's right. So, but I'm trying to think. I was trying to think. You played baseball.
I did.
Right. So back in high school, how was your baseball days, and how was that playing against DeKalb?
It was terrible playing against DeKalb because we couldn't beat them, which is DeKalb was very good, as you know. They have great history of baseball. I graduated from high school in 1979, and back then you had two amazing pitchers at DeKalb, a guy named Ty Cobb, of all things.
That's right.
He was destined to be good. Mm-hmm. And then another guy named Brad Blevins. So they were two great pitchers, were all first team of the, what was that, the...
NEI, something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore, but
that's right.
Yeah, we always struggled a little bit with them.
Always a little bit. So high school baseball, mm-hmm. right? So finishing up at Homestead, where do you go next?
So I ended up, my first year I ended up at SMU down in Dallas, Texas. Was recruited to play baseball down there, pitched down there. That was the old Southwest Conference, so back when that existed. So SMU was in the conference with Houston and Texas and Baylor and Rice and Texas Tech and Texas A&M, and had a really nice season down there as a freshman. I started there as long relief and finished there as a starter, which was great. We had a pretty good team, not a great team, but it was pretty good that year. And then at the end of that year, that was sort of the front end of SMU getting ready to get the death penalty in football. So they were struggling a little financially as a private school. It was the heart of a recession at the time. They ended up canceling our baseball program. So we were given the opportunity to stay. They were going to honor scholarships and things like that, but wouldn't have a baseball program. And the only reason I went there was to play baseball. So I ended up transferring from there and came up to Purdue and played at Purdue. And that's where I got my education.
So high school from Homestead down to Texas, how do you end up at SMU? There
was a connection. The superintendent of Southwest Allen County Schools, where Homestead was, his last name was Bradbury, and I don't remember his first name, but Mr. Bradbury was an SMU grad, and he had contacted somebody down there, and they came up and looked at me and got an opportunity to play down there.
Okay, all right. So play a year down there. Obviously, you're on campus with people probably like Eric Dickerson and those guys, right?
Craig James and Eric Dickerson were freshmen when I was a freshman there. I remember Ron Meyer, who ended up coaching here for the Colts, was the coach of the SMU football team back then.
Gotcha. All right. So going down to SMU, coming back to Purdue, still playing baseball at Purdue?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and what are you studying?
Well, that's interesting. When I was at SMU, I went to college to be a baseball player. That was about that's about as far ahead as I had been thinking. And when I was at SMU, I was getting good grades, and I took a political science class that I found interesting, got a good grade in it. And when I got to Purdue, they told me now I'm a sophomore, I needed to declare a major. and baseball wasn't considered a major.
Oh, that wasn't in the major program.
They didn't
okay.
count that. So so I declared political science as my major, and interested in it. Didn't really think about what I could do with that as a career. And then I think by the time, I ended up I was a very good high school pitcher. I was a pretty good college pitcher, but I think I started to get a little more mature and started to have enough self-awareness to look around and say, you know what, in high school I could throw a fastball by most players.
Mm-hmm.
Here they can all hit it out of the park.
Right.
And maybe I ought to come up with a plan B. So suddenly realizing I was going to graduate on time, I was getting good grades, but had no clue what I was going to do with a political science major. So I applied to law school and took the LSAT and did all right on that and went off to law school.
So going to law school, where was there somebody in your family maybe that was a lawyer? Where did that come from?
Literally, I was the first lawyer in the family as far as I know.
No kidding.
No kidding. So it was really more sort of an interest and sort of a, what else am I going to do with a political science degree?
Okay.
So, but ended up going to law school, loved it. I went to Notre Dame for law school and
Gotcha.
had a great experience there, and came out of Notre Dame, did a clerkship between my second and third year of law school with Krieg DeVault here in town.
Sure.
And joined Krieg DeVault as a summer associate, then an associate, and then had a 35-year career with them.
35 years all at Krieg DeVault, all here in town?
All here. And started, my first 15 years were at the downtown office, and then after about 15 years we opened the Carmel office, which was our first satellite office. Krieg's got several now.
Yeah, of course.
And came up, I was on the management team, they called it the executive committee of our firm, so I was picked, since I lived here in Carmel, I was picked to start up the Carmel office and started that, and which was great. It was a 5-minute drive from home, and
easy to get to work.
My daughters were, in sports and other things, so that frankly made it all, simplified life quite a bit to have an office up here.
Gotcha. So 35 years in law, all at one place. How do you end up here? How do you end up where we are today?
Pure happenstance. So in 2010, I had rolled off. I had been on a couple of other boards, and in particular the St. Vincent Foundation.
Okay.
And had been on that for about 12 years and chaired that board for 3 years, and then rolled off by term limits. And was looking for something else, nonprofit, to get involved in. Hadn't really found, I knew I wanted it to be something different. Didn't know what. I don't have any arts background whatsoever, but was asked by our former mayor, Jim Brainerd, and our founding board chair, Raleigh Dick, to come onto the board of the Center for the Performing Arts, as it was called then. Now we're the Allied Solutions Center. And I remember resisting that a little bit, thinking, I don't have an arts background, what can I contribute? And they made clear that they weren't looking for people with arts backgrounds. They were looking for people who were long time in the community, had some business background, or in my case, legal background. And my thought was, well, if you're not looking for an arts background, you've got that in me, because I don't have it.
You got that, right?
But I also, I was a big believer, and I think that's going to be a great thing for the community. At that point, I've been in the community for, 25 years, something like that. And so I agreed to join the board, and having no idea how much I would fall in love with it. I mean, just love the experience, love the mission, love the people I was involved with. Became very involved. We affiliated with the Great American Songbook Foundation. I went onto that board as well. I ended up chairing that board. And then it was in 2016, I was involved in I was a trial lawyer with my firm, involved in a very significant piece of litigation. We were scheduled for 2 months of jury trial. And on the second day of jury selection, at 2 a.m, the case settled. I have a place up north of Fort Wayne, Big Long Lake, which I know you're familiar with.
You bet.
Went up to the lake after that case the paperwork got done, and just decided I was going to just kind of chill out a little bit. We'd been working kind of crazy hours, and I just needed a little time off. Got a call from our then CEO here at the Center for the Performing Arts, and asked me to come back as the chair of the foundation to talk with her. And she also reached out to Eric Payne of the Payne family of Payne Mencias Palladium, who was the board chair of the Center's board. So I drove back from my lake place on a Monday morning. I remember that. Eric and I met for breakfast. We waited for our then CEO, Tanya Kesaverty-Moskalenko, to come join us for breakfast, and when she got there, she let us know that she was leaving to take a new position at Roosevelt University up in Chicago. She actually didn't join us for breakfast. She said, I know you got a lot to think about and talk about, so I'll let you guys talk.
So she came to breakfast.
She came to breakfast.
Let you know.
Let us know,
Said,
and then gave us time to process.
Okay, all right.
So as we sat there, Eric and I talking, you work the problem. What are you going to do? Well, we knew we needed to control media, and we knew we needed to alert the board, and we're going to have to think about a search committee. And as we ate breakfast, Eric said, would you want to be the interim CEO for a while? And I remember saying to him, what in the world do I know about running a performing arts center? And he responded, what do any of us know? But you have 2 months open on your calendar because you have free time. Got this case settled, which was true. So I joke with people, but not really a joke, that my main qualification was I was available. I didn't have anything else going on. So I went into it more like treating it like a sabbatical. Like, you know what, this is something completely new and different.
Sure.
My firm was okay with it. I think they felt like probably not a bad thing for me to just take a little time off and do something completely different, and started doing it and had great fun with it, and had a little bit of success, and they asked me to stay on.
No kidding. So from interim to full-time, when was that?
I think I was interim for about a year. So
Okay.
I think that happened right around September of 2016, and then I think around September 2017, I officially started as a full-time.
Gotcha. And the facility here was built like in 2011, something like that?
We opened in 2011, in January 2011, so it was finished right at the end of 2010.
Gotcha. And now you're the president and CEO, and
Correct.
also, but the Great American Songbook, you're still working with them also?
That's right. So the Great American Songbook is our affiliate organization, separate board of directors. It's a separate 501c3 nonprofit. But I serve as the president and CEO of both organizations, so the Allied Solutions Center and the Great American Songbook Foundation, and that's how it's structured. So it's the Allied Solutions Center provides a lot of great support for the Great American Songbook Foundation. Everything from our finance team works with them, our development team works with them, our marketing team works with them. In return, we get really the sort of the benefit of the Great American Songbook Foundation being a national organization, well known around the country through its founder, Michael Feinstein, who happens to also be the artistic director of the Allied Solutions Center.
Yeah.
So it's really a great marriage.
So for people that don't know, obviously we're sitting in the Palladium, one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever been in, and one of the coolest stages I've ever been on, for sure. But it'd be great, maybe talk a little bit more about all the things that you guys do here, and the facility, and maybe even some of the folks you've had a chance to meet.
Sure. Well, I think, so many people know us for having great performances, and a wide variety of performances. In fact, I think because we're a nonprofit with a mission to engage and inspire the Indiana community through enriching arts experiences, we're not bringing in just commercial acts.
Right.
And by commercial acts, I mean these are world-class acts. When we bring in Sting or John Legend or Sheryl Crow or Harry Connick Jr., those are commercial acts because in the sense that they're well-known, and we'll sell them out, without even trying, but still world-class performers. But we bring in many other artists who maybe are not as well-known, but equally talented. Who are, and we just had Chris Thiele here a few nights ago, considered the world's greatest mandolin player.
Yeah.
And just captivating, a great audience for it, just captivating. So we're known for our shows, but I think one of the things that we're not as well known for, and probably because we suffer from little Hoosier humbleness, we don't boast enough about what we're doing here, is our educational programming. The last 2 years, we've served 25,000 people here with education programs ranging from ukulele to stand-up comedy to vocal classes to, we've got a program called the PRISM Project, which is for young people with various disabilities, whether it be autism or mobility challenges or other physical challenges. We do a program called Peanut Butter and Jam for toddlers. I'll tell people last year alone, probably our youngest student was 18 months old, and our oldest one was in the early 90s.
No kidding.
And everything in between. And every one of our educational programs is either free of charge or highly subsidized by us, because as a nonprofit, we get very generous contributions from donors and corporate sponsors and other things like that.
That's amazing. I don't know that a lot of folks would even know that. I didn't know that till the first time you and I chatted. And so how would folks go out if they were interested, if I have a family here around town, how do they find out more about that and what they can get plugged in?
Yeah, so the educational programming is all on our website, thecenterpresents.org, along with our other programs. We're working on some electronic signage right now in cooperation with the city of Carmel so that we'll have something outside of our venue that shows what's playing this weekend, things that are coming up, things that are happening on campus, which would be sort of a community bulletin board, which we're excited about. It's 15 years in, and we don't want it to be a mystery what's happening here.
Yeah, of course.
We do other big community events too. We've had debates here. We've had mayoral debates. We've had a gubernatorial debate. We do a naturalization ceremony every year. In fact, just recently, this year's the 250th anniversary of our country.
Okay.
And so we had a particularly large naturalization ceremony where we had nearly 250 individuals who became citizens in this hall, literally walked across this stage, took the oath of citizenship. We do that in partnership with the United States District Court for the Southern District of Indiana, which is the Indianapolis Division. But I think this was our 6th or 7th or 8th naturalization ceremony. One of our great resident companies, the Indiana Wind Symphony, in this year in partnership with, I believe it was the Indiana National Guard, performed great patriotic music and really made it an event that was really special for the new citizens. We also live stream it so that, if we've got someone from, New Guinea who is taking the oath of citizenship and they've got friends and family in New Guinea, they watched it live.
Oh, that's terrific.
So that they had the opportunity to see their loved one and friend become a U.S. citizen.
That's terrific. Being involved and being part of this community and having a chance to work here, I'm sure you've got some pretty cool stories of maybe people that you met or some of the people that have been in here. So maybe share a couple of those.
Yeah, well, it's a pinch me job when you think about it. In fact, I go to nearly every performance. I usually do we call them a stage welcome before the performance, where I come out and I thank people for being here, and I thank our sponsors, and I let people know, remind them that we're a nonprofit and that they can donate, and introduce the artists. And because of that, I'm backstage a lot and I get to meet a lot of the artists, which is pretty fun stuff. In fact, it's interesting. People will say to me, "Boy, you're working all the time," because they see me here night after night. And my comeback is often, "I'm here a lot. It's hard to call what I'm doing work."
Yeah, right.
I'm drinking a glass of wine and talking to interesting people and watching a show. But some of the artists, as a general view, the artists are phenomenal. I mean, they're not just talented; they're great people. I think a lot of people don't know what to expect. Are they going to be divas? And that's rare. They're usually, if anything, almost a little introverted, a little shy. They have a different, persona backstage than they do on stage when they're in front of people. They're very, very appreciative. Touring is not an easy thing to do. It's a hard life. They're on tour buses, and a lot of times after the show, they're not even going to a hotel. They're getting on a bus and driving off, 400 miles to their next location. So they're very appreciative of anything we can do for them, and we try to make them feel very welcome. But met some great people, some fun stories. One of my favorite stories is Dennis DeYoung, who you probably know is the lead singer from Styx.
That's right.
And Styx was one of my favorite groups growing up. And Dennis was here. I got a call from Ellen Kingston, who was our artist concierge at the time. And she would often call me and say, "Listen, Jeff, it's probably a good time this afternoon if you want to come down and welcome the artist," which I like to do. So I came down and was over here on stage left as Dennis was wrapping up his songs. I think the last 2 songs I just sort of sat back and watched him and listened to him play were Renegade and Babe. And all I could think of was I saw him when I was at SMU in 1980. And at this point, I think Dennis was 69 years old, and his voice sounded phenomenal, and the energy and everything he was bringing to the stage. And I have my own personal rule that when I meet an artist, you don't gush. You thank them for being here.
You play it cool, right?
You play
it's the corporate conversation.
Like you've been there before.
Are we taking care of you?
Exactly.
We're doing a good job for you, those things, right?
Exactly. And so I started that way. But then, before I realized what I was doing, I started to gush, and I said, "Dennis, I got to tell you, I saw you in 1980, and I just watched you now, and you were phenomenal. And boy, your voice sounds great." And I said, honestly, it was nostalgic for me. And he smiled and he thanked me, and then he said, "I got a couple questions for you." I said, "Well, what's that?" He goes, "Well, are you going to be at the show tonight?" I said, well, yeah, of course I'll be at the show tonight. And he said, well, I imagine you'll be around some important people. And I said, well, you know, I have some guests in my box and donors. And he goes, well, let me give you some advice. He goes, try not to weep too openly while I sing. So he laughed, and
awesome.
I laughed, and I go, okay, you know, I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
which I appreciated. But then I remember he said, and this venue, and he kind of looked around, and I kind of puffed up with pride, and he goes,
Sure.
what a dump. And I laughed at that. He goes, did you think that was funny? I go, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
He said, I might use that tonight. And sure enough, that night, started the show, sang 2 songs, and he came out, and it got a good laugh. As soon as he said this venue, I go, here it comes. But he was very funny. He was very, I think he loved playing here and loved how he was treated. And most of the artists, in fact, I will say nearly 100% of the time, the artists come out and they rave about the venue itself, and they rave about our staff, our production team in particular, and our concierge team and our events team, to the point where people ask me, do you put in their contracts that they have to say nice things about, about your venue and your staff? And I said, we don't. They just do that on their own. The only thing we tell them to do is how to pronounce Carmel correctly.
Yeah, right.
Because we tell them, you know, the audience might correct you if you call it Carmel
if you say Carmel or Caramel. Yeah, that's right.
We actually have right over on stage right, we have a little sign with a phonetic spelling of Carmel, K-A-R-M-L. So that's the last thing they see as they walk out on the stage.
So Dennis DeYoung, so outside of seeing him and seeing him in the 80s, any other really cool shows come to mind that you've seen here? I've seen a ton of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's so many. Again, you know, some of the big, well-known ones like Sting and John Legend and Harry Connick Jr. and, you know, we've had Kenny Rogers and Brian Wilson and, you know, many of those. But you know, some that are lesser known or may not be of as much of an interest to the broader public. We had the National Orchestra of Ukraine come here, and just the way it worked out, it was on the 1-year anniversary of Russia invading them. And this entire hall was packed, and Ukrainian flags flying, and it was a very, very emotional, beautiful concert. And to see, there was a significant Ukrainian population here in Indiana that a lot of people weren't even aware of. But even those who weren't Ukrainian, just the support that came out for a show like that was incredibly moving.
That's amazing. It's amazing. You know, one of the things that we talked about before we got started was some of the technology and the changes, right, over 15 years, and just some of the things that have happened in that space. And one of the things we like to do, whether we're talking to for-profit companies or nonprofit companies, is talk just about technology a little bit. And where is technology going? And in your guys' space as a nonprofit, where do you see it evolving? Is AI starting to come in and do some things? But what do you see in the space in tech?
Yeah. You know, AI is a little scary to some people. I think we're trying to embrace it, but, you know, it's got its place. You don't ever want to see it replace artists or artistry, music, things like that. But it certainly has its place. It can help in advertising and marketing and branding and things like that. But, you know, there's nothing that's going to replace live performing arts.
Course,
I mean, people have to come and see it and experience it. But, you know, we're keeping up with that as best you can. I've been to seminars about it. You know, they're talking about, you know, we thought the internet went fast. I mean, AI is going at lightning speed. You know, but a place like this, on one hand, we're 15 years old, which, you know, 15 years ago, we didn't have as much technology as we do now. And yet, at the same time, we're only 15 years old.
Right.
We're not that old. But over the last couple of years, we have brought in a whole new PA system. So the whole sound system in this hall is brand new. You know, people say, well, why do you need to replace that? And we say, well, it's the same reason you don't have an iPhone that's 15 years old.
Yeah, you don't have the 3GS, you've got the iPhone 17 or whatever.
Exactly. So technology, you want to keep up, and we pride ourselves on having phenomenal acoustics here, which we do, but you have to blend that with a phenomenal PA system that's state of the art. Yep. Similarly, what we call our intelligent lights, not all of the lighting, but all the intelligent lights in this hall have been replaced. Those are the long lights that can move and are all electronically, and we can do so many more things with lighting now to increase the experience. We invested in a video wall a few years ago, so many artists will have a lot of video content with their shows. Well, we didn't have that, and when we wanted to have video content, we'd have to go out and rent a video wall, which was pretty expensive. So we invested in our own, which is really a state-of-the-art video wall that our production team can put up and take down and add a lot of visual content to a lot of shows when they are able to bring that with them.
Well, you've got to create the space and have the technology available. You're bringing in the world's greatest in some cases, right? You mentioned different types of players that are out there. You've got to create the venue that they want to come to, otherwise they won't want to
Exactly.
come. So it's interesting where you guys are going with technology. Next is thinking about community, right? So 501c3, part of our community here in Carmel, Indiana. As you think about community, how are you engaging with the community, and what's community mean to you?
Well, I think, again, I've been in this community since 1987, so I'm not an original, I'm not a native, and there probably aren't too many natives in Carmel, but I've been here a long time, and so it's, it is home for me, and I feel a responsibility, I think we all do here, to make sure that we're giving back to the community. The vision for this place was to be a cultural hub, but also to have economic impact, and I think we're doing both. We did a study just recently, it was not quite a year ago, 2 studies actually. One was a study of just the value and the quality of our management services. How well are we running this place? We wanted someone independently to come in and tell us where are we doing things well and where can we improve. And are we doing the same kind of job that the city would do if it were running it itself, or a for-profit, a Live Nation or somebody else would do? And this study came out, Hunt & Partners did this for us, and they came out with a report that showed that as a nonprofit, we're actually operating this at peak efficiency. The price per seat to operate this place, which is one of the ways they measure it, was far less, something like $50 less per seat than our peer average across the country. They showed that we operate this, it costs us less to operate this than it would cost the city to operate it itself if it made it a true department of the city, and far less than if they brought in a for-profit company to do it. And one of the main reasons is, as a nonprofit, people contribute to us.
Of course, yeah.
So sponsorships and just contributed revenue bring in a whole new revenue stream that the city or a for-profit wouldn't have. And then we had an organization out of IU, School of Business, that did an economic impact study for us to show that with what we do here has economic impact in Carmel of about $23 million a year. And the city pays us a management fee of about $2 million a year. And as I've said, if I had $2 million a year to invest and could make $23 million off of it, I'd do that every time.
Yeah, me too.
So, we're pleased with the economic impact and with the value and the efficiency of our services. But we also know we're bringing cultural impact and quality of life experience here that we're very proud of. So, when you see Carmel get award after award for best place to live, best place to work, best place to raise a family, best place to retire, the Allied Solutions Center for the Performing Arts, the Great American Songbook Foundation are almost always mentioned as part of that experience, part of what makes Carmel so attractive.
Yeah, it's part of what makes Carmel Carmel. Right?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, this was where this facility is. Used to be the old Kroger, right?
That's right.
It's hard to believe what everything looked like.
We're sitting in the
deli
produce or something.
Produce like that, right? So, but you think about what it used to be like before all of this happened over the last 15, 20 years. What amazing growth. It's so interesting to hear just what you guys are doing here and some of the great acts that have been here. And I know there'll be more coming. And I was talking to your team before we got started. Sometimes between the 3 facilities, you could have 7 or 8 shows on a weekend.
Yeah.
You guys are crazy busy around here.
Well, it's very, very busy, and we also get great community support. Not only do the patrons come to the shows, we've set a lot of attendance records over the last number of years. We have a volunteer corps of about 400 community volunteers who serve as ushers and docents. On any given night, if all 3 venues are going, we might have 60 or 80 people volunteering here.
Wow.
Their time, and they're well trained. I mean, I actually did a little undercover work when I started here as the interim CEO. I wanted to, I knew it coming out of management at a law firm, I knew about HR and I knew about budgets, but I didn't know the first thing about what ushers do or what our production team does. And so I wanted to learn a little bit, so I sort of went undercover. Now, our team knew who I was, but one night we had a performance here, and I read the usher manual cover to cover, put on the black pants and the white shirt and the tie, and I was an usher for the night. And I learned a lot. I learned that you welcome people to their seats. You don't point at their seats. I learned that our ushers stand on hard marble for 4 hours at a time, and a lot of them are more senior, and so we needed more seating for them and more opportunities for them to be able to relax a little bit. We put together a sort of a program where the more they ushered, they could earn points that they could cash in for tickets, so that we were giving something back to them. We did a study last year alone. If we were paying our ushers essentially minimum wage, it would have cost us over $500,000.
Oh, no kidding.
So they are truly donors of their time and talent, and many are also donors of their treasure. So one of the things I always try to do in my stage welcomes is thank our donors, our sponsors, and our ushers, because they're great community volunteers who are giving a lot.
That's terrific. I love to hear it. So before we close, let's talk a little bit about fun. You mentioned a lake place, Long Lake up north, and so if you're not here and having fun, like you said, I think somebody said you seem to work a lot. It seemed like you have a lot of fun here. But if you're not here at the facility or around the facility, what are you doing for fun?
Yeah, well, I do love Big Long Lake up in LaGrange counties. My happy place, so get up there as often as we can, and it's a hobby for me. I love sort of taking care of it, and little chores and things like that. But it's also a gathering place for my family, so it's a great place. I've got 2 daughters and 2 stepdaughters, and I now have 2 grandchildren. About
Congratulations! That's
thank
awesome.
you. About a 14-month-old and a 3-month-old. And we enjoy having them up there and enjoying the lake place. It's great family time. I love sports, any kind of sports. Playing sports, watching sports. A lot of those things. My wife is trying to get me to do a little more traveling, so we've got some trips planned that are coming up, and I'm trying to convince myself that I can get away. And what bothers me is when I do get away, I come back and the place is just fine. So it turns out it can run without me, but that's credit to a great team.
Well, great leaders have great teams, and they allow them to do what they do, and it's excellent you get a chance to get away and do some traveling. And the Long Lake up there in LaGrange County, beautiful place. All the lakes up in northern Indiana are beautiful, so always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Congrats on the 2 grandkiddos.
Thank you.
And was glad that my alma mater was able to beat you guys back in high school.
Yeah, you can tell I'm still in therapy over that.
Just a little bit.
It's a little scarred.
You would ask when we got started if this was water, if we had vodka in there because of those games. But this is all water for everybody watching. It's all just water.
As far as they know.
Everybody that knows on this, it's all water, maybe. But Jeff, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is the first time we've done one not in our studio, and I couldn't have picked a better place to do it. Couldn't have picked a better guy to have a conversation with.
Thank you.
And this organization, what you guys do for our city, for the patrons, everybody that comes here, works here, supports here, volunteers here, and everybody that comes to watch shows. It's just amazing what we get a chance to do and the arts that we get an opportunity to be exposed to. So thank you very much for your leadership, and also I appreciate you being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, and let's have you back.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it.